Hey guys, welcome back to Content is Profit. Today, I have an incredible value pack 30 minutes of an episode with a person that I met a couple of weeks ago, and he's going to help us do something in a couple of days that's unheard of. Like build $100,000 offer in front of your eyes so you can take in all the information. This person had a $48,000 VIP service that generated a company over $60 million. $16 million of annual recurring revenue. He also tells a story about when he did a $300,000 day with a client and changed his life forever. Not only his, but his customer. And then he also has built over 300 offers for this customer. So we often talk about the connection between content and monetization. And this today is literally the roadmap on how to get there. We talk about how to price your offers. Like what's the actual formula on how to price your offers to be highly profitable, but at the same time offer incredible results for your customer. What is the number one problem with creating offers and how to solve it? We also talk about how to not resent your work. I think we've all been there where we, sell something at a price point and then we're like, oh my gosh, this is so much more work than I thought it was going to be. And we end up resenting that work. We don't want to get there. So we actually talk about how to not get there. And also, a key part of an offer is picking the right market. And we go over the steps on how to pick the right market. All this packed in the next 30 minutes. So don't miss it. And Austin, thank you for showing up, man. Enjoy the episode. Hey guys, welcome back to Content is Profit. Today, we have a very special person. Yeah, the atomic offer guy, the guy that has sold $300,000 in a day, the guy that helps people make millions in maybe a couple of days. We'll see. He's going to spill the details on do this. And, we talk a lot about monetizing your content. And there's a crucial part of this that we talk about, in the 6 levers. And Austin, we hopped on a call maybe a couple of weeks ago at this point. Time is flying by. And he's like, dude, it's all about the thing that you're putting out to the world, the offer, right? And so many people in our world get it wrong, including us. So we are here to solve that problem. Austin Ford, welcome to Content is Profit, man. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here as well. And hopefully I can share some insights with the world.
Yes, dude. So I'm stoked because, well, one, you were introduced by Stacy, who's a mutual friend of ours, and she's also Content is Profit legacy at this point. And she's come on a couple of times. She helped us do the challenge in our Facebook group, helped us launch the community that we have. And I've seen you in events wearing this king's crown. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy. And I'm like, so we ended up connecting and
I still have that crown.
You still have it? Okay, good.
The video here. So there it is.
Yeah.
I can put it on. You want me to put it on? There we go.
Yeah, dude. That would be awesome. Yeah, that's hilarious. That's great. And there's a guy that I interact a lot, Bart Miller. He was also on the show. And I keep bringing a prop. I bring a camera that I'm supposed to vlog and document things and never record for some reason. And everybody's like, dude, the camera. But everybody remembers because of the camera that I bring, which I'm imagining is part of the stick with the crown, right? Do you have a story behind the crown before we get started?
My friend, I didn't know what it was at the time, but my friend called it peacocking. You know what peacocking is?
Yeah.
Peacocking is, it's kind of like, just for the normal crowd here, it's kind of like when you go out and you want people to notice you instantly. So you do something crazy. It could be a prop that you can bring. It could be some silly item that you're wearing. So basically every time I showed up to events, I would always wear this crown. And people would come up to me and they'd be like, the first question they ask is, what's up with the crown? Or they'd be like, are you the sponsor for Burger King? Right. So it was a great conversation starter.
Yeah. One or the other. No, I love it, man. And it definitely, I remember seeing just crowds going to, but we're not here about that. Maybe we can talk about peacocking.
So one, Bart Miller. That's cool. I've been to a few of his events. So I love that guy. Number 2, did you see me at which event? Funnel Hacking Live? And it's been a while since I wore the crown too. So
it might have been maybe Funnel Hacking Live 2 or 3 years ago. We've gone. Maybe the last 2 we didn't go, But yeah, it's been a while. But I remember, and I think like your profile picture also has it. Which, by the way, the power of not only personal branding, but it's like what is that element that people continue to go towards you, and it's gonna help with your messaging and different things. But that could be like a whole episode. But today we're really on the monetizing part, right? Like on offers. Like how do you actually are able to help people profitably? And I think that's a question that a lot of people are chasing. A lot of people are trying to figure it out. So what are your initial thoughts on like, maybe like share your story on like how you came across this? You had an offer that changed your life, and that you put here in the form is like your first $300,000 day.
Yeah.
This changed your life.
Yeah. Let me back up just a little bit here. So when I first got started on the internet streets or the internet world, I was actually, this is like way back 2015, 2016. I was actually starting to become an online personal trainer. So I was like super into fitness, doing all that stuff. And Lewis, I was doing all the things wrong. Like I was working on my website, and I was spending months building out the perfect website, or posting on Instagram, posting selfies, and working on like this program, because I thought like my idea of being successful was if I just got 100 clients paying me $50 a month, I'd be a gazillionaire and I wouldn't have to worry about anything. And I'm just like, but that's just where I was, right? So like I did all this stuff that really didn't do the right things, which like, we're talking about like monetizing with content. Like I wasn't putting myself out there, and I had a hard time. Like it was like 6 or 8 months before I closed my first client. And the reason was I wasn't putting myself out there. So I ended up, I was down in the dumps. I was scrolling along Facebook, and I remember seeing a post on Facebook, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got like this guy, like out of nowhere. I didn't know who it was. I thought it was my friend, but I was oblivious. It was an ad. All right. I didn't even know what a Facebook ad was, but there was this ad that said, I will help you be a successful online personal trainer and help you get to your first 10K month, right? Click on this link and then join my event. So he had this event that he was running. It was like a webinar, right?
Yeah.
So I like me being oblivious. I'm just like, I click on the link. I jump on this thing. I'm here with this guy, and his name was Simon. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? And like, so Simon showed me, and there's a very important key aspects of the story. Simon shared with me on that virtual event. He shared with me who he was, where he came from, and how he got the XYZ result. And then he showed us a framework. He called it his Fitpreneur framework, right?
Okay.
Or his Fitpreneur blueprint of how to be a successful online trainer and make 10K months, right? And he shared with us his 4-step process, overcame some internal objections of reasons why I thought I couldn't do it. And like, I'm just memorized by this guy. He's going through this whole presentation. There's all these people in the room, and I'm just like, holy cow. And then at the end, he makes a very soft, everybody say soft invitation for me to like jump on a call with him. So I do it. I get on the call. I see the guy there. I'm like, I think this guy's a celebrity. I don't know what just happened. This is amazing. And anyways, he basically he asked me some questions. I won't go into the questions, it'll take too long, but like he asked me some questions. And that's when I purchased my first high ticket offer. It was called Fitpreneurs. And it was basically like a program where he had like a coaching area where like people could access material. He did, I think it was like bi-weekly calls. So if we had questions, we can attend those calls. And then he had a community, right? So I ended up doing it. I put the 5K on, and it was me and I wasn't even with my wife. I was with my wife, but I wasn't married to her, but we opened up a credit card together. She was so mad at me because I put all that money on that credit card we just opened up.
Yeah.
She was pissed, man. I mean, it was bad.
I bet she's not that angry anymore.
But anyways, full circle here, because like your question is like, how did I kind of like start doing all this stuff?
Yeah.
When I joined his group, there was 500 people inside of his group after I paid for the program. And I'm just sitting there. I don't know about you, Lewis, but I'm a math guy. So I'm pulling out my calculator. I'm like, wait a minute. 500 times 5,000?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. So that's when I decided I don't want to be a personal trainer anymore. I want to learn what you just did to me and how I can do that for myself.
Yeah.
Right. So the model was easy. It was like he ran some traffic. He got people to join a virtual event, and then he sold his high ticket thing at the end. And his whole business was run with him and a VA. That was it.
Wow.
Leverage. Can you say leverage?
Leverage, baby.
So fast forward, after that moment, he's the one who introduced me to like Russell, Grant Cardone, high ticket sales, like all this stuff. And I ended up consuming all this material. And I started going through I started looking at everybody's high ticket offer, because I knew when it comes to offer creation is wealth creation, right? And if you really want to know how the winners are winning, you'll notice a pattern. They all have a high ticket offer at the end of their thing. So I started studying these. I went through them. I saw how they were selling them and developing them, right? So the 300K day was later on when I really started perfecting the system. And basically all I did was I connected with a guy and I said, you have an audience. You don't have a high ticket offer. I helped him develop a high ticket offer. It was a 25K offer. It was in the real estate space.
Yeah.
And we did an event and we had 68 people on the Zoom room.
Yeah.
At the end of the Zoom, we made the invitation and we did a $300,000 day that day.
Wow.
So when that had happened and I had facilitated and helped somebody go through that entire process, that's what changed my life.
That's awesome, man. I want to highlight a couple of things. One, the belief in investing, number one, that you saw the opportunity. I'm like, man, I see a path. And I think a lot of people out there, that's a moment where they might doubt themselves to put their thoughts, I guess, or what they say into action. And I remember for us, like that moment was something similar with Steve Larsen inside of the ClickFunnels community. And that's what changed everything. That's how we started the agency. That's the reason we started the podcast. And then things started to kind of fall into place right after that. And also the high ticket, right? Like this is like one of those things that a lot of people might not be exposed right off the bat when they start with like online work, especially, we get a lot of people in our studio that they might have like a book, or they start with a lead magnet to collect the information of people on different things. And I believe that you could just start at the very top. In our specific case, we started offering a service. There's still a lot of things that we're working through that. And we're going to dive into that with you. Spoiler alert. If you're listening right now, Austin is going to help us build $100,000 offer live in front of you on the 10th in a couple of days. So make sure to check out right in the description, the link that we're going to put right below so you could be a part of that. But what do you say to people that might not be exposed yet to a high ticket offer or might be intimidated to be like, man, like that just sounds so complicated. You said it was simple, especially with like the guy that you learned from.
Oh yeah. In fact, the offer that we created for that guy, and I have his thing. Here he is right here. So his name was Tyler. So I basically worked a deal out with him. He paid me $30K for VIP day. I told him I was going to help him put together this event, and then I get 25% rev share from this event, right? Whatever the profits were. We did his first event. He did $300,000 that day. But here's the crazy part, Lewis, that a lot of people just don't understand.
Yeah.
The highest ticket thing that he had for sale was a $3,000 thing. So literally all we did was I looked at the $3,000 thing and I was like, why are you selling this for $3,000 when the result that you're getting right now is 100x what that is? And typically when I'm pricing offers, I'm just like, it just needs to be a 10x multiple, right? Yeah. Because why do people buy? People Like people only pay you because it's worth the money, right?
Yeah.
They don't pay, or excuse me, people don't pay you because it's worth the money. They pay you because it's worth more than the money that they're exchanging, right? And the value that he was providing was, it was amazing. And I was just like, so I told him, we got to go from like, this offer is not a $3,000 offer. It's a $25,000 offer. And right when I said that, you know what he said to me?
It's like, that's crazy. It's like,
well,
no way.
He's like, well, if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to make it twice as long. And I'm just like, no, your clients don't want it twice as long.
Yeah,
they don't want more coaching calls. They don't want more stuff. And he was like, if I raise the price, I got to add more. And it's like, no, it's the opposite. We ended up stripping away from the $3,000 offer, repositioning it into a $25K offer. And he sold 11 of them.
Wow.
That day.
Wow. Yeah. It's almost like counterintuitive, right? For most people, right? When you're like, oh man, like, I want to go maybe sell this for more and add more features, add more things. Like you said, like we just end up like simplifying, like how can be simple, not only for us as entrepreneurs or business owners to go execute, to provide the best results possible, but also for the customer to obtain results, right? Because at the end of the day, they're paying for that result that they're getting. Like how fast can we get that? Now, what are a couple of steps maybe that people can start looking at their own businesses and be like, okay, I want to start designing my own high ticket offer, for example. Like what are some of the indicators that you're looking for if they already have some kind of offer? Do you help a specific market or are these frameworks that can apply to almost any business?
Well, this framework can apply to health, wealth, relationships. It doesn't matter. It's the same framework. The framework that I use isn't your typical framework. It's not like, you know how like everybody starts with like, pick your niche. And it's like, pick your avatar. And I'm just like, no, like solve a valuable problem out in the marketplace. Right. When I'm looking at other people, anybody can create a high ticket offer as long as you can provide a super sniper 10x value result, like a 10x multiple. So for example, let's say that I'm a relationships coach and I can help people save their marriage before it falls apart. What is the cost of somebody not saving their marriage? What does that cost? Like, and a lot of people will go straight to, well, lawyers are expensive. Yeah. It's like, my sister just went through this actually. And she like, it was like $25K just for a lawyer, but it's not just that. It's 50%. It's 50% of your house. It's 50% of your kids. It's 50% of your time. It's 50% of all your assets. How much is your house worth? How much is, all the assets that you have, your cars? Like what's 50% of that cost?
So then when the emotional cost of not only you, but the kids, right? Like all the things that are very hard to quantify, right?
Yes. Yeah. And when you start but even just adding up the logical cost, it's like $25K to save somebody's marriage isn't that bad. So what you do is the things that like anybody can create a high ticket offer is just a matter of helping that person achieve a 10x result. Now, the problem most people have when it comes to selling high ticket is it's usually not that their offer isn't valuable enough, Lewis. Yeah. What it is they're not communicating with their mouth the value of their offer. Does that make sense?
100%. I mean, I'm going back to a bunch of times. It also for us, like on the service side and with the podcast and the studio, where we might get frustrated because we're like, we know like how this is going to help you. And maybe they're in a different page and, we're out of sync in the sense of like, we don't know how to communicate that value. Right. And it's like, for us has been like through repetition and be like, oh, maybe, that's exactly what he thought. Oh man, I should have phrased it this way. And then you call him back and be like, hey, by the way, what I meant to say was this. And the person's like, oh, you should have said it the first time. And then they get back. Right. So,
an easy framework for your audience. Like whenever I'm creating a high ticket offer, what you want to do is use contrast. So the formula is, do you know people who struggle with hell, pain, frustration? Well, I help those people pay off, result, measurable, attainable, desirable. That's the framework right there. So if I'm somebody and I just say like, I help people have more energy, it's like, good for you, dude. You help people have more energy. Like it doesn't really make me want to like work with you other than like, I understand what you do, but I don't really understand it because energy for me can mean something completely different from you. Like, what is that? What's the definition of that? Right. Yeah. But if I say it in the framework of, do you know those people who are struggling to stay up during the day and they're taking 3 to 4 naps just to stay awake? Well, I help those people have so much energy that they could stay up for 2 days straight if they wanted to. That's measurable. Yeah. That's desirable, right? One thing that I like to use for myself is like, have you seen those entrepreneurs out there who are hustling, bustling, and struggling just to make 7 figures or even 6 figures a year? I help those people package their expertise, put it into a high ticket program, and help them sell it dozens at a time on the same day. Right. So it's like, oh, I instantly understand what you do.
Yeah.
And then what you want them to say is, tell me more.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I love it. Obviously, we're going to go in detail on the 10th with this. And there's a lot of questions that are probably going to be answered there for ourselves. And I'm so excited to share with everybody because they're going to be able to see it and experience it also themselves as we develop this. I'm thinking also like in us, like 5 years ago, or like the people that come to our studios that might not, they want to publish, right? Like they believe that publishing it's a way into, finding an audience or finding that right person that wants to buy from them. And sometimes passions run high because, this is, our baby, the company, or like what they're building. It's like they put so much effort into it. Right. And they're like, they just see like that one path and everything else is clouded. And as they, move along on the creation of this, somebody like you comes in and be like, hey, we might be in the wrong path. Like, right. Like maybe like this might be a different way. So how can people start maybe shining some light into this like clouded area and be like, do I actually need a high ticket offer? Like, is this really the path I want to go? Like who's this for?
It's for anybody who wants to, it's for anybody who has a framework that knows the value of what they provide is worth something in the marketplace and they want to get paid appropriately for that. Now, I'm not saying overcharge, right? I never do that. But you also, I like to have what's called my anti-resentment price, meaning like I'm getting paid enough where I love the work that I do. My clients are getting the results and I'm not resenting work, right? Because some people price themselves too low and they're just like, why am I doing this for, $500 and it's going to take me 20 hours to do or whatever, right? So definitely having the anti-resentment price. The other thing is too, I see with a lot of people is I think you mentioned something around like, they're passionate about a certain market or helping a certain people, but that market is unable to afford the thing that they're selling. Right. And this is one of the rules that I kind of go through and we'll actually talk about this a lot more on the Atomic Offers party that we're going to have. But like who you serve matters more than what you sell. And what do I mean by that? Like if I had 2 different clients and let's say client A was an ice cream shop. All right. And let's pretend that Lewis is a lead generation expert and he goes out and he's like, I'm going to do some lead gen for this ice cream shop. And let's say that you made the ice cream shop 1,000 new leads. All right. And so you did a great job. Congratulations, Lewis. Now each of those leads buys a $10 scoop of ice cream. How much money did you make the ice cream shop?
What was the initial number of leads? 2,000?
1,000 leads times a $10 scoop of ice cream. How much did you make?
10,000.
You made $10,000 for the ice cream shop. All right. But now margins are so thin that, they can only pay you $500 for lead generation. Now, client B, you do the same thing. You're solving the same problem, which is lead generation, right? And let's just say that this client is a dentist, all right? And he sells, what are those teeth like?
Veneers
or whatever, right? Yeah. And let's say that, every time he sells a veneer, it's $12,000. And you bring him in 10 leads, that buys a $12,000 thing. How much money did you make the dentist?
Yeah, a ton more.
120. And now margins are so great that he's happy to pay you $10,000 to $20,000. And he's like, he's jumping up and down and going, bring me some more of those leads.
Yeah, let's do it again. Yeah.
Why is this? This is what I'm saying. It's not that your offer isn't valuable, which in this case, the example that I'm giving is lead generation. It's because you're selling to the wrong people, right? And this is why most people are on the struggle bus and can't seem to raise their prices, is because they're not solving big enough problems in their marketplace. So number one, you want to pick a big market. So there has to be plenty of people in your market that want what you need. All right. Number two, you got to have, you got to be solving a big problem. Like the example that we just gave, you're like the problem that you're solving for the dentist, getting a $12,000 customer is much different than a $12 or a $10 customer that you're getting for an ice cream shop, right? So solve bigger problems. And then the third thing, make sure they have deep pockets to pay you to solve that problem, right? And we're going to break this down a lot more on the, I have a lot of frameworks and stuff that I typically go through, but I mean, if I was just to boil down, like first thing you do, pick a big market, pick a big problem, and then make sure they got deep pockets. Like they're actually willing and able to pay you.
Yeah. I love this, man. I think this is a great introduction for what we're about to do in a couple of days. If you're listening to this, make sure you go right below. You're going to see the link right there. Make sure you reserve your spot to be front row on how we build this, because you're going to see a process. You're going to be able to kind of follow along and also do it yourselves for your own business. But those two stories that you just told, like we literally at the beginning of when we're working with small businesses, same thing. Like we did a campaign for this local business where we collected 2,000 emails with sending 3 emails from their list and into 6 other businesses. They collected $1,500 without people coming in, and they booked 300 appointments that day. And I remember,
holy smokes.
It was a good campaign. And I remember this was like right before COVID. It was like the week before they had to close all the businesses. And I remember going to them with the results, so excited because 300 appointments. And before they were, for reference, they were booking about 30 a month. And this was in just 1 week. And the person was like, just $1,500. And I was like, you don't understand the value of this, what just happened. Not only the appointment, but also the 2,000 emails that you can continue to communicate. Anyways, it was so frustrating. And I was like, that's when I understood it was like the wrong business that we're, serving at the time. So don't fall into that trap. And it's really hard
to charge them.
I think for that campaign, we charged like $2,000.
Yeah. This is the thing. It's like the $2,000 customer, you want to charge, you want to make your prices high enough where like what it does is it repels the wrong clients, right? And they leave you alone, the wrong clients. Because the thing is, if you're not charging enough, there's a big difference between a $500 client and a $10,000 client. The $500 client is like calling you up at 2:00 in the morning. They're like, can you please just make sure that the campaign's going to work? And can you make this post? And they're like emailing you and they're haggling you and they're like praying that this is going to work. And the $10,000 client, right? You send the invoice, they instantly pay it. They're excited to get started. They do the work without you even asking for it. And then they send you a testimonial without you asking for it. Like there's a big difference between a low ticket and a high ticket customer. So people are more committed. People who pay attention. I forgot who said that, but it is so true in this day and age.
100%, man. I love it, man. I think that's a great spot. If you ever feel that, if you're listening to this and you've ever feel either part of the story, I think there's a clear path of what you should start exploring. And, we mentioned a couple of frameworks here that we're going to leave right below, but please don't miss that on the 10th. That's going to be fun. It's also going to be part of inside of our community. So go to businesscreator.club. It's going to be recorded in there. And please connect with Austin. All his links are going to be like right below. Austin, is there anything else that you want to add before we head out?
I think you've asked me this question a few times, but I'll just hit it on the head again. Like who could create a high ticket offer? And again, I think the answer is anybody. And the problem isn't that there's either two things. Number one, they just haven't extracted enough value from their offer to understand what it truly does for a customer. Or they're just serving the wrong market. So they just need to make a quick shift. Like the lead generation example is great because like you're doing the same thing. You're just doing it for a different person. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right. So it's either they haven't extracted enough value from their offer or they're not communicating in a communicatable, desirable, attainable, simple way that gets clients to just instantly understand what they do at a very high value. Because here's the big thing, man. When it comes to selling high ticket offers, it's not about what's in the offer or selling the offer. It's about all the market preparedness that you do on the front end before you sell the offer.
Yeah.
So that's why communication is key. And that's going to be a big part of the Atomic Offers Party, where I'm going to go deep into how do you actually communicate your offer in a way that makes people go, tell me more. Yeah. Like, I want that result. I was working with this one guy once and he was like, I help, I do these live videos and I help e-commerce stores, get more conversions. And I'm just like, okay, like, I don't quite understand. But then when we rephrased it and we were like, do you know how some e-commerce store owners make only 1% to 2% from all the traffic that they run to their store, and most of them are barely breaking even? Well, I help e-commerce stores sell a year's worth of product in a single day. People are just lining up out the door around the block, and they're like, I'm an e-com owner. You tell me how you do that. I want to know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so good, man. I'm so excited, and I'm very honored that you brought this message today to Content is Profit, man. Thank you so much. I'm stoked. Where were you 5 years ago? That's all I'm gonna say.
We're gonna build you a 100K offer, huh?
Yeah, man. That's gonna be a fun one, and I'm excited to just get out of my head. Fonzie's also, I think he's gonna be there. Get both out of our heads, and I'll make sure we can continue to do our best to provide value and communicate it like we've learned today. Awesome. Sweet, man. Well, with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
See you guys.